Well, hello and welcome to It's Brandi's World. I am Brandi Beckett. Before we get into too broad of a subject, let's narrow it back down and let's talk today about hormone replacement therapy, or also known as HRT. So, I I'm a transgender woman. Yay, congratulations if you didn't know that by now. I began my gender expression transition in 2015. I discovered my gender identity in January 2015 and started working towards aligning my gender expression to meet up with this newly discovered gender identity of mine. And one of the ways that I can get that expression more aligned with my identity is hormone replacement therapy, which is one of the best ways to treat gender dysphoria for me and many other individuals that I have interacted with and talked with in studies I've read about and agree with the healthcare systems, not here, just here in the United States, but across, you know, Europe and the world. People who actually research and do the scientific work to study gender dysphoria and treatments for gender dysphoria. One of those treatments is hormone replacement therapy. And I started my hormone replacement therapy in April of 2015. That was both an amazing experience, but also a frightening one, to be honest. Because when I decided that, yes, I am going to go through this feminine puberty, and that's what I did, was I shifted my hormonal balance within my body. I blocked the testosterone that my body was producing because when I was a teenager, my body went through a masculine or testosterone-driven puberty. And fortunately, I escaped that without too much masculine testosterone filled because I kind of still have smallish like bones and stuff. But I did experience that testosterone-driven puberty in my teen years. And then in my 40s, I got to experience a second puberty, a estrogen-driven puberty, my feminine puberty. And it was glorious, and it was awkward, and it was unexpected. Well, I expected to go through changes, but the changes I went through wasn't always expected. But my goodness, all of them for me have been just so amazing. So in April of 2015, I took the red pill, so to speak. And literally, it is the red pill from the Matrix. If you didn't know, the siblings who made the Matrix are trans. And they're talking about the similarities. If you can use that metaphor of taking the red pill, I was taking an estrogen pill and a little, I forget what they're called now because it's been years since I've been on them, but the blocker pills that block the testosterone output that my body was producing. So taking those pills changes physically things on you. And today, let's go into a few of those things. I think it'd be kind of fun, and people don't know, and people are curious. What happens when an individual blocks the testosterone that they are being supplied in their body by their body and induces estrogen, specifically estradiol. The estradiol that I was putting in it's a form of estrogen. And it breaks down into different estrogen parts too. So your body will metabolize these hormones and it will break it down in different ways. And I can get into that a little bit later. My body had trouble metabolizing the pills. But that is jumping ahead on our story. Let's go back to April. And when I decided to take the pill, you don't notice anything immediate. It's not like you take a pill and you start transforming like Teen Wolf, Michael J. Fox in the basketball court changing. It's not like that. It's gradual. It is, and it's some of the changes that you're hoping are going to occur take forever, take years, literally take years. But some changes happen soon. And the first thing I noticed when I began my hormone replacement therapy, it was about maybe a week and a half into taking my hormone replacement therapy. And I was in college at the time. I was a non-traditional college student in my 40s, living in a dorm room. It was so much fun. And I had a single dorm, so I lived by myself in my little cool dorm room. And I recall waking up like 5:30 in the morning, real groggy, and just there's an odor, an aroma, and it wasn't familiar. It was foreign to me, but it was also feminine. And I had to race through my head, did I bring a woman home to my dorm room last night? I had to think about that for a minute, and I looked around in the bed, I looked in the sheets. Where the hell is this woman? I don't recall bringing a woman home. I did not bring a woman to my dorm that evening and did not wake up with a woman next to me. But that's what my brain was telling me, because that aroma was me, and my brain did not register that aroma that was driven by my hormone replacement therapy is my new signature. Basically, you have an aroma signature. Everyone smells slightly different than everyone else, because our bodies process chemicals differently, right? So it was wonderful. And then I spent that whole day just I didn't want to take a shower that night because I didn't want to wash off this beautiful feminine smell that I had on me. And I took a shower the next morning. And when I took a shower the next morning, I dried off, and I was kind of half expecting to start smelling masculine again, like a stinky boy. But I didn't. And I was like, oh my God, I smell how I envision I would smell. And it took a few days before my brain started to really establish and recognize that that's me, that's us, that's us, brain. And oh God, that was beautiful. And then the next change I noticed, about maybe a week after that, my skin started to feel very, very soft. And that's really cool. What happens is the estrogen-driven hormones, when it starts to work on your skin cells, the hair follicles themselves, they kind of like shrink up a little bit, because the androgen-driven hair from the testosterone that your bodies, or androgen that bodies produce all bodies produce them, but bodies that have testes produce more than bodies that have ovaries. So both of them produce you get a range of hormones, is my point. But the testosterone or androgen driven hormones have wider hair follicles, and you can get thicker hairs. And so when those follicles start to shrink up, and the hair not necessarily gets a little thinner, not less hair. It was amazing. It felt so soft, and I couldn't stop. So I spent a few days just going around, just touching my skin. Yeah, that is when you hear euphoria, when you hear gender euphoria, when someone's experiencing, because you experience dysphoria, and believe me, I have gone through my share of dysphoria and still go through somewhat experiencing dysphoria, but not like I did back in 2015 and 2016 and 2017 and to a degree 2018. I didn't really stop feeling a lot of dysphoria until around 2019, 2020. A lot of that was, it takes a long time, hormone replacement therapy to really start to shape and change kind of body. It doesn't shape your bones. Now, don't misunderstand me. When bones grow, they grow and then they stop growing. You can't just regrow. I mean, your bones repair itself. There's a system within your bones called the osteoclast system. So what happens was, when your bone cells are getting old or damaged, these other specialized cells go in there, and the osteoclast cells, I believe, I mix them up sometimes, but the osteoclast will break up that old bone cells that the body don't really need and process it, and it gets rid of it, and then the osteoblasts come in and they'll build up the more on that area, but they don't change the shapes of your bones. So once your hip bones are set, they're set. Once your bones stop growing in your shoulder girdle, they're set. So you're not going to change that unless you are to induce a hormone replacement therapy before the bones stop growing. As long as you have bone plates, as young people do, until they close up and you no longer have those growth plates, you can change the way those bones are growing. But once they lock in, they're locked in. So by 42, my bones are locked in. But back to hormone replacement therapy. I have continuously been on hormone replacement therapy since April 2015. I've noticed a lot of change over the years. At first, a couple of changes right away, but then it takes a lot of slow, gradual changes. The hair didn't go away with the hormones. Some of it did, like some of the chest hair would go away and stuff. But I was very fortunate and privileged enough to been able to get laser hair removal from, all the way from my face, my eyeballs, all the way to my toes. And through many painful treatments of that has also been a great tool to reduce my gender dysphoria. With hormone replacement, laser therapy, and surgeries, my gender dysphoria pretty much goes away. And I feel great about myself like that. When I look in the mirror and I can see the person that I see when I close my eyes and I imagine me, when I imagine the Brandi that I am, and then I open my eyes and I look in that mirror, and it's never going to be exactly aligned because I'm not fooling myself. No one is ever going to be like, oh yeah, I am the best I could ever look. I am the most me I could ever be. No, everyone's on a journey to be the most them that they could be, and I am on a journey to be the most me that I could be. And when I open my eyes, and through these treatments, I see close alignment to the Brandi I see in my head and the Brandi I see in the mirror. That is gender dysphoria going away. Treat it. Excellent treatment. And one of those excellent treatments is an orchiectomy. An orchiectomy is removal of the testes. So no longer have to take the blockers to block the testosterone, because that testosterone source gone. And that was pretty great. But side note, what would you give up? Guess what I gave up? Any of you other testy owning people, if you have testes in your pants right now, would you give them up to ease gender dysphoria, to ease a dysphoria in your life, to ease the pains that you go through? I gave them up and never regretted it. It's been years. Yay! So, but what else did I give up with hormone replacement therapy? Now, this is where I wanted to bring this talk to. And this is the biggest change. And it didn't happen right away. It happened gradually. But then it started to really kick in. By the time October, December rolls around, I was experiencing a huge shift in my sexual orientation. The sex drive for almost 40 or 30 years or whatever I had the sex drive, I had it towards femininity. And through this hormone replacement therapy, I experienced a shift in that. No choice of mine. I did not choose to start being attracted to masculine identity and kind of fade away from my attraction to femininity. I liked being attracted to women. It was awesome. And I shifted, and that was scary. That was very scary for me to shift from what I thought was innate in me was attraction. What I thought that you couldn't change was attraction. And through a hormone replacement therapy, now I am on the far tail whip of the bell curve of people who do hormone replacement therapy and experience this side effect where my attraction to wanting to be with women shifted to attraction of wanting to be with masculinity and men. I went through a second puberty in my 40s, and I went through it with all of those hormones gearing me up, charging me up, and thrusting me towards guys. And that was new to me. And I had to really stop and ask myself and really confront myself and say, what does this mean to you? And what are you going to do about it? And I just figured out and decided I can discover what I am. I can discover things about me. But I can't just change the way my brain works. I mean, well, apparently hormones can, but the hormones that make me feel so good also made me feel really good about being attracted to masculinity. And I just, at that moment in my life, I refused to shame myself or guilt myself for a natural attraction. So I decided to go with it. Let's see where this takes it. Let's go through this puberty and let's discover boys. Let's discover men. And that's what I did. Oh my goodness. I had that drive. You remember that drive when you went through puberty? How you could just not hardly control your thoughts about sexual encounters? Oh my God. I had those, but I also had the luxury of being a single person in my 40s. I could have fun with it, and I did have fun with it. I got to explore men, and it was great, and I do not regret at all taking a pill that took away sexual attraction to women for me. Oh well. I feel that good about myself from this treatment that those side effects, which seem ridiculously huge side effects, are not side effects that are going to deter me. In fact, it enhanced me. It changed the way I look at myself. It changed the way I look at life. And it enhanced my life. It made me a better me. Hormone replacement therapy is not a joke. Hormones are a hell of a drug. And they are a hell of a treatment as well. I am a transgender woman. Whether I discovered that about myself at 10 or 15 or 35 or 42, I discovered it. It was always there. I just never searched for it. Never searched for my true identity, for the me. I just tried to live up to an assignment that was placed on me, and with a list of images and statements that I should follow and look like to live within that assignment. I went through hormone replacement therapy in my 40s. If I was able to do that at a much younger age, I would have loved it. It would have changed my life much, much earlier. I would have been comfortable in my skin at a much earlier age. I was uncomfortable in my skin until my hormone replacement therapy. If I could have shaved off decades of the torment I would put on myself for not knowing why I was uncomfortable in my own skin, why I could never fit into that role that was assigned to me, why I could never be happy trying to fit into that role. If I discovered my gender identity at a younger age, if I had access and then had access to hormone replacement therapy, I would do it. If a young person discovers that they don't belong in the gender box assigned to them, there's treatments. Just like we treat young people for ailments that affect them, these are physical ailments that affect people, and there is treatment. Hormone replacement therapy treats gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria is a crippling and hard to get over affliction on yourself. Gender dysphoria sucks. But there's treatment for it. Let's not deny that treatment to young people. Let's not deny it to old people. Let's not deny it to American citizens. American citizens deserve the health care that they need. Transgender people need hormone replacement therapy. Not all of them, but the people who choose to go through that therapy, it should be available to them because it is a good therapy. It works. And remember, love yourself, but more importantly, like yourself, and treat people the way that they want to be treated.